Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be, and welcome to day 2 of Pada Beyond Travel Recovery Solutions. Today, we start off with the first of our Discover Beyond sessions. The sessions provide the perfect opportunity for you to discover the latest products and services that can help you build your business and brand post-COVID-19. Each session begins with a broad overview on the corresponding topic, followed by a company roundtable. Today's session, we begin with Discover Beyond Big Data. We begin with a panel discussion with two representatives from one representative from Forward Keys and another one from Sojourn, where we talk about how to effectively analyze data. Now, you've heard many times data is the new gold, but data is worthless on its own without proper analysis. And so we'll discuss how you can find trusted and verifiable data and gain proper insights to enhance your business. But before we begin, let me just first introduce myself. My name is Paul Brangan. I am Director of Communications and External Affairs here at the Pacific Asia Travel Association, and I'll be your host and moderator for today's session. I just have a couple more notes for everybody watching us on our event platform. So, if you're on the current event platform, the web-based version, if you have any questions for the panel or during the pitch sessions, please do put them go to the session chat, submit your questions there. My colleagues here will send it over to us as we're doing this via Zoom. If you want to use the chat to say hello to the other participants that are viewing this session, feel free to say hello, where you're from, and if you're enjoying this session or not. If you're watching this on your mobile phone and the app version, it's the same thing. Just go to session chat, submit your questions via the chat, and my colleagues will send it over to us. If you're still having trouble how to navigate around the platform, please do go back to our session yesterday morning. We do have an introduction walkthrough about how to navigate around the platform. It's very informative. It tells you how you can call exhibitors, how you can chat with other visitors, and other questions you might have about the platform. Just watch the video first. Any other questions, feel free to contact the PADA team. We do have a booth, so you can reach out to our team at the booth. They're actually there now, so you can actually probably call them as well if you want to just chat with some of our team members. So as I said, we'll begin with our panel discussion, how to effectively analyze data. As I said, I'll be moderating this, so I would like to welcome to join me in the panel from Forward Keys. He's the APAC director based in Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jameson Wong. Also based in Singapore is the commercial director for APAC at Sojourn, Ms. Katie Gallagher. Katie, Jameson, would you like to join me?
Hey, Paul.
Hi, Katie. Hi, Jameson. Sorry, let me stop sharing my screen and we can get right into the... Oh, sorry. Got too many windows, got too many screens happening here. So you guys are both based in Singapore. How's everything over there? Good?
Very good. Very sunny day in Singapore. And, things are pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah, it is very sunny. Just lifted my blinds and yeah, it is sunny outside. We've been having it fairly well, I must say. I'm sure Katie will agree. We don't have too many cases of community infection. In fact, most of the cases right now are imported cases. So by and large, we're doing fairly all right.
Oh, that's good to hear. Hopefully then we can start traveling to Singapore if need be. So let's just jump right into the discussion here. So, my statement as I opened up the session saying that, people in the past talked about how data is the new gold. And my feeling is data on its own is worthless without proper analysis. First of all, would you guys agree with that, right? Or would you have your own thoughts upon my statements?
No, I think that you're absolutely right, Paul. We always say at Sojourn, it's not how much data you have, it's what you're actually doing with it. And then on the other side of that, you can also have analysis paralysis. You can just dig, and then you're digging so much you're not getting anything out of the data. So certainly at Sojourn, we've been collecting data before we were actually running digital advertising campaigns. We were using it for print campaigns. We were trying to understand where consumers were flying and then printing ads on boarding passes based on their consumer behavior. So certainly being able to understand trends and what people's shopping patterns were and their origins and destinations is extremely valuable and something that we've perfected and tweaked over time and now shifted into an online media model.
That's exactly right. Having access to data without knowing, how to use it, what to use it for, it becomes a cost center, right? Also having to make sure that the analysis that is being carried out is reliable, it's accurate, and it's relevant to the use case at hand. I was just recalling an interview that I did with TTG last year, and in the process of preparing for that interview, our team was actually looking at travel to Singapore, right? Just to give one example, and we noticed for some reason there was this surge in Vietnamese travelers coming to Singapore from one week to the other. In fact, the surge was quite significant. We were looking at a 30 percentage point increase week over week. And we were like, that doesn't make sense. But we could have run with that and just said, yeah, Vietnamese travelers to Singapore went up by 30% week over week. But then we wouldn't be doing any justice to the data, right? So upon further investigation, what we actually found was that these guys traveling between Vietnam and Singapore was actually doing a layover and rushing back to Japan just in time for the border closures in Japan. So you see how having access to the data, if you don't do it correctly, if you don't have the ability to analyze it correctly, then the message that you're getting out of it would potentially put you in a lot of trouble. Yeah.
I mean, that leads to my next question then. How do I know some of you guys use, third party or partners to have that data. Then how do you ensure that you have verifiable, trusted data? Like this data is absolutely true. I mean, how much on your end are you auditing this? Or, I mean, how important is it to make sure that you have that correct and right data?
Yeah.
Katie, after you.
Thanks. So I think it's important to note, if you're engaging with a partner that's using data, asking that very question, Paul, that you've just asked out to us. So at Sojourn, we're engaging travel partners. So that means it could be an online travel agency, a meta search, a hotel chain, a cruise line. We then join in a contractual agreement whereby we're collecting their real-time intent data. So if a traveler is going to their site and entering their origin and their destination and their dates of travel, that's something that Sojourn will ingest into their system. But data comes in all shapes and sizes. And again, it's important to understand what type of data you want access to get to your goal. So at Sojourn, we do not collect any personal identifiable information. So we're not going to be having access to anyone's name and email and birth date. Our goal is to help you understand how consumers are searching for travel and booking for travel. And based on those contracts that we have set up, you would know that the data that we're collecting is safe and verifiable, and that we're applying it, again, to the media campaigns in order to help you achieve your goal. And I think it's important to sit down as a company and understand with your business model, what do you want to use data for? And then that will help you understand which type of company and which type of data is going to help you get there.
Quite similar for us at Forward Keys as well. When we engage with our data providers, we make sure that obviously they're contracted to us, with us, but we also make sure that the source of their information, of their data, is credible, is reliable, and as much as we can, we would go as close as possible to the source. So we don't work with data providers that go out and do a survey of 50 guests at the airport and come out with a research article. We don't really do that. We lean more towards our data providers who, for example, process flight ticket sales for global airlines all around the world. We lean on our data providers who who power meta search platforms globally. So we know for a fact that when we receive the data files from these guys, it is essentially scraped. Oh no, sorry, not scraped, but it's essentially from consumers. It's as close as possible as we can get to the consumers. Now, Katie, to your point, sometimes we also receive stuff that we don't want, and we have to make sure that we, for legal reasons and also for sanity reasons to a certain extent, clean them out. So we make sure that we have a very strong team in-house to do what we call an ETL to clean it up, make sure that it's usable by our analysts, and subsequently by our clients, to make sure that we only surface relevant and of course legal data nuggets for their ingestions.
Yeah, I mean, so just on the data end, I mean, you guys both organizations have a big team table then to like make sure that is clean data, right? I mean, so that's where I guess when we say about pros and cons of either doing it in-house or outsourcing that kind of work, it would make sense then to outsource that, because the amount of work, not just in the analysis, but in the actual collection of data is extremely important as well.
Yeah, I don't think it makes sense for us at least to outsource it, because when we start outsourcing the cleaning of the data, at the end of the day, when it comes back to us again, having multiple data providers, multiple data streams coming in, there is no conformity across the board, right? So it's probably easier if we just do it ourselves, because that way we also build up expertise, we build up the technical knowledge, and we're able to pick up the nuances, right? So for example, just recently we've been having this issue of what we call the ghost bookings, where from the pandemic last year, a lot of consumers have been given the option to either get a refund or push their flights, right? But because we understand the data that we receive so well, we know the cause of it, what's triggering it, and we are able to explain, right? It's a reflection of what's actually happening. I don't believe we would have been able to manage this issue and communicate it as effectively as we have with our clients had we not been masters of this data ourselves and outsourced it.
Yeah, I would agree. The same at Sojourn, and it goes back to our motto that it's not how much data you have, but what you do with it. So we have an internal engineering team that builds out valuable audiences using that first party intent data that we're ingesting. And something that we've seen from COVID is Singapore specifically, we've always had a very strong staycation audience segment. Because staycationers, it's a really valuable audience segment, not only for travel partners, but for non-travel partners. So if you're a luxury brand or a finance card and you want to get in front of a consumer that has a certain disposable income, that audience was really valuable. But when COVID hit, we saw that countries across the region were looking for a really rich staycation audience. So Australia, Japan, countries that we maybe hadn't been running staycation campaigns in before, we were then looking to our engineering team to build those out, and having access to that team in-house, and they know how to build our data in a way that's going to drive performance and results for our partners, makes everything work a lot easier. And in addition to applying our data to actual media campaigns to drive performance, we also use it to collect insights and share information with our partners, so we know how to build out strategic, valuable campaigns. And when we looked at our Lunar New Year insights for 2021, of course, that was largely going to be driving domestic travel because international borders are still closed. But what we could ascertain from the data was that if you wanted to capitalize on a staycation booking, you needed to have your campaign live 1 month prior to Lunar New Year. So having our team internally who's able to analyze the data and use the data to build out audiences is something that we would not be able to find if we outsourced it. That's something that sits within the Sojourn ecosphere with people that understand how to use that information.
So you start talking a little about analysis. So let's just get into that, right? So when you have your team looking at the data, when they're looking at analyzing the data, and they're looking at points outside of just the data, right? They're looking at current events, the calendars, what's happening, whether it's a holiday. Look, so what other piece of information like are analysts looking at when they're analyzing data?
Yeah.
Jamie?
Uh, So we have a seasonality calendar. Of course, we have a lot of our advertisers come to us and they will want to know what's happening around Chinese New Year, what's happening around Valentine's Day. Anything that a promotion might fall around. School holidays is another really big one. So that's somewhere where we start, and then it's trying to understand where are people searching, where are people booking, and also how are people searching and booking. Something that we can see with COVID was there was a fairly substantial shift into people booking luxury properties. Part of that comes with the sense of safety that comes with the hygiene factors that might be in place at a 4 or 5 star property versus something that might be on the more economy side. Not to say that those economy brands shouldn't be capturing bookings, and that is where you need the data so you can understand how to tell your story. And that comes back to something that's really important right now is for brands to learn from 2020 so that they can understand how to build out what they want their business model to look like in 2021 moving forward so that they're achieving success. There's a variety of different metrics that you need to look at. And a lot of those metrics have only presented themselves. Well, they're presenting themselves in a new way because of COVID. Things have changed versus just looking at year over year trends.
Somewhat similar with us as well at Forward Keys. Whenever we do an analysis, the first step is always what the data tells us, right? So, I come back again to the example that I used of the travelers between Vietnam and Singapore. It doesn't make as much sense to say, hey, there was a significant increase week over week in January for Vietnamese travelers coming to Singapore. But that's always the first step. We look at what the data tells us. And then what we also do is we try and make sure to understand, or rather have access to different data sets that can support our hypotheses, including, local contextual knowledge, events, calendar, current affairs news, for example. So we knew from current affairs that, there was a state of emergency in Japan. They were suspending first of all the green lanes into Japan before subsequently effectively closing out international borders. So we have to bring all of these insights back into that one storyline and make sure that it's sound. So that's basically how we do it.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot that goes into that, from that whole process. We said you get the data, you're collecting all this, you make sure it's verifiable, it's clean, into the analysis. And then, then in the future, though, if let's say with AI or some of the technologies that's arising, would that help in the process? And is that happening now, or do you see that happening in the next 2 years, 3 years? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah. So the way that we use the data at Sojourn is we collect it and our engineering team's putting it together. But there's a big AI and machine learning factor that goes into that. And that's based on how the campaigns are running. So as the campaigns run, we apply our first party intent data to it. Of course, if you are a hotel in Singapore, let's say you're an integrated resort, you want to run a campaign targeting people in Singapore because that's your target market right now. That's who we're going to target in either the social, display, or video space. But we can go one step further with the machine learning. And as consumers engage, let's say if we want to target people that are looking for a longer stay because that's going to be a more valuable booking, or they're looking for a suite versus just a regular room, the machine learning can identify those searches and then make sure that the ad is being delivered to that consumer versus another, so that we can drive the results that the partner is looking for. And this goes back to really, again, outlining what are your business goals and strategies before you're going to apply data, so you make sure you're getting the best use out of it. And again, at Sojourn, all of that runs across our own proprietary AI, like many other companies might have. So we would not outsource our data or the media, as it will function best across our platform.
Yeah, so this is where we differ somewhat, Katie. For us at Forward Keys, a lot of times when we engage with our clients and partners, the usage of our data and insights comes at a more strategic level. So there isn't that much of a need right now to apply, an AI level on top of this to be able to drive, real time, dynamic changes, right? Some similar to what you guys do when you're optimizing your campaigns. So for us, it's the opposite. It's about for us right now, between the data and the human that's using it, it's a lot about understanding. Well, what's the insights that we get out of this? What decisions can we, what can we understand out of it, and then subsequently, what decisions can we take around it in the short, mid, and long term? But to your question, Paul, how do I see AI and whether or not it's gonna, complement? I guess the answer today is for sure it's going to be complementary. The way I see it, it's gonna plug the gap between an individual's capability to ingest, to understand, to analyze, and to take decisions out of the data, because there is a gap right now when it comes to the human's capability, to do that, right? So with technology, with AI, that's definitely going to breach that gap. Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to the end, but a lot of questions that I guess when we talk about just solutions, especially when we talk about tech solutions, right? And a lot of our members and the audience are SMEs. They're going to be afraid of the costs involved, right? What would your response be to them? Like, is it something that they should invest in, or is it going to be a high cost for them, and should they take on that high cost, particularly during this time where of course their resources are less than before? I mean, what would be your response to, let's say, an SME that approached you, said, "Oh, I'm interested in using your services, but I'm afraid of that high cost that may be involved," because it just scares you, right? When you just hear that, you're automatically taken aback. What's your response to that?
Yeah, so I can kick off. I think that there is a perception that data is very expensive. But we have to, I take a step back and say, okay, well, what does expensive look like, and what am I trying to get out of it? We've got a specific model that is for SMEs as well as corporate, and those pricing models are very different. And again, there's, you can buy data just to have access to it. And what Sojourn's able to do is we use our data to drive media campaigns to get you an ROI on your actual website, or so that we can drive a booking or a transaction into your destination. So I agree that the perception of the cost of data is quite high. And that's why it's important to shop partners and try to understand, what am I getting with this data? Am I getting access to trends? And can I use these trends to then drive bookings into my destination? And I know we're running out of time, but I think what's incredibly important in 2021 is to build co-op partnerships. So if it is an SME, do you have the opportunity to build a partnership with other tour operators, airlines, tourism boards, so that you can maximize the revenue that you guys have in order to drive more visibility into your destination using that data? So I think there's a lot of opportunities and options. You just have to dig into, how can you make the data work best for you and your budgets?
For us at Forward Keys, it's also somewhat different in a sense where, if you take a step back and look at what's happening today, we all have to admit that we are no longer in a situation where we can say we can rely on same time last year. We can rely on what's the top 5 source markets traditionally, and if you're holding out for a short-term fix and expect us to go back into a pre-COVID levels of travel, I would say dream on to a certain extent. So, to get back to your question, Paul, what is the cost of data, of getting access to data. But then I would say, what is the cost of not getting access to the right type of data, right? A lot of our clients now have been in a situation where they're essentially building out, 2021 and beyond business plan on the basis of the new type of traveler, which they have zero visibility on. They're having to build out long-term plans revolving around this very fact. So yes, there might be a perceived high cost associated with data or insights acquisition. But then, the flip side of that is, if you don't get visibility, what are you going to do? What are you missing out on, right? But we also have to acknowledge that budgets are limited and severely impacted last year, this year, and potentially next year as well. So that's why we have spent a good part of last year developing and building out a range of products and services that caters to, not only the large organizations that have deeper pockets, but more importantly also to, every other business that have been impacted and are looking for something lighter. Yeah, and still getting the same powerful insights. Yeah.
I mean, so basically, you're saying like it really is just an investment for long-term growth, not the short-term. Like investing now, making sure that you're ahead of the curve is a long-term investment growth. We're not getting time, but Katie had mentioned co-op marketing, and I'm sure a lot of people would be more interested in that. I mean, do you have any examples of sort of co-op marketing campaigns that happen around the region that people have done effectively? Because I know, like you mentioned that, and I'm sure people would be like, well, what is that? Because I would like to know a bit more about that. Just give them a couple examples of those that you thought have done well.
Yeah, I think something I've seen pre-COVID is Tourism New Zealand and Air New Zealand has really partnered together to create a lot of interest in the Southeast Asia markets to bring them to the destination. In present day, I've seen a lot of co-ops in Australia between the tourism boards and the airlines as the state borders have opened up so that they could start moving people across borders and getting access to travelers that weren't just interstate. And I think they've done a really good job at targeting and using data in order to drive conversions. And that's another important piece to co-op. If you don't have a conversion engine on your site and you can partner with someone like an airline or a hotel that does, then you can pool your funds, maximize your dollars, and then get a hard ROI on what you're spending. If you don't have a booking engine on your site, there are still ways to get access to data and understand the type of interest that you're driving. Again, that comes down to understanding what KPIs you need to look at in building those long-term partnerships. But you can also run a co-op campaign side by side. We could have 5 hotels, and an amusement park, a restaurant, and maybe a large shopping mall down the street, something like that. So Sojourn can work and put all that together and build it in a portal where you can all understand what you're collectively driving to that destination together. So again, there's a lot to research right now, but I think that in the destination space, building sustainable long-term co-op partnerships is going to be one of the key factors for the long term.
Yeah, no, well, we know that restarting travel will only happen if we all work together, public and private sectors. So it's great to be able to end on that point. We've come to the end of the session. We'll hear more about actually Sojourn and Forward Keys in the upcoming company roundtable. So thank you very much, Jameson. Thank you very much, Katie. We'll see you just in a few minutes, and you can turn off everything, and I'll just do a quick intro into our company roundtables. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, Jameson. Okay, so we've heard just a broad overview about sort of data just to sort of give just a taste of what of the sort of subject and maybe a little bit what's happening in the future and maybe how to sort of help your business moving forward. This idea of co-op marketing was actually very interesting, and hopefully you guys can consider that further for your efforts as you look to rebuild. Now we've come to our pitch session here, so I'll be moderating it. I need to just mention to all of our companies that will be presenting, you have 5 minutes to present. After 5 minutes, I will put you on mute. You will get a countdown of 1 minute, so keep an eye on the chat. You'll get a countdown of 30 seconds. My team will put it in there. In about 10 seconds left, I will turn my camera on. After the 5 minutes is over, you will be put on mute. At that point, we'll have 3 minutes for a question Q&A. So if any of the audience members have any questions, please do submit them in. My team will send it over to me. If there's no questions, I might ask 1 or 2 questions that I might have about your company, and that's it. We'll then move on to the next company and so on and so forth. So we have several companies with us. We have Asian Development Bank, Tourism Trends Project, Forward Keys, Cerium, VPON, Big Data Group, Q Square, Sojourn, and OAG. So if everyone is ready, is everyone here? Okay. Once I will let the person know when the 5 minutes starts. So we'll first start with Scott Wayne. He is the ADB Tourism Advisor for the Asian Development Bank Tourism Trends Project. I think he will be talking about what their project is and how he's looking to connect with a lot of the attendees here to help with his current project. Let me stop sharing my screen and please welcome Scott Wayne. I believe he's in the U.S., so it's very late. Scott, are you with us?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Do you want to turn your camera on, or are you just gonna do?
Okay, no. I'm trying to turn my camera on here. Sorry.
Okay.
Just 1 moment. I was trying to turn it on a little too soon, so. There we go.
All right. Okay. So once you have.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Let me go ahead and share my screen.
Once you have your presentation up, I will start the 5 minutes.
Can you see my presentation?
Nope. I see your desktop. You have your.
Okay. Sorry about that.
I see myself. I see the event platform. I think you need to click.
Sorry about that. Okay. There we go. Sharing the wrong screen. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, now just full screen it, and I think we're all good.
Great. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Good evening from Washington, D.C.
Scott, do you want to put on presenter because we just see the regular view?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
Okay, you're all good.
Okay.
Now.
All right. Are we good to go now? Great. Okay. Now, finally, I'll say good morning for the 3rd time. Okay. Good evening from Washington, D.C. Pleasure to be joining you for this event. Our pitch is going to be quite different from the other participants. We are pitching for your cooperation and assistance with this project, which we're just starting now. My colleague and I, Peter Jordan and I. Peter could not join us. He's in Amsterdam, hopefully sleeping right now. It's about 4:45 in the morning. From here in Washington, it's almost 11. We are just starting this project, which is a collaboration between Asian Development Bank and UNWTO, and we're also getting assistance from PATA. And it's part of a series of major studies that's looking at the future of tourism and future tourism trends. Big data, of course, is an important part of that, and sustainable tourism development. Just starting the research, it will last until about May 2021, and hopefully by August, we will have our report and some other reports, which include actually a report on big data, sustainable tourism, and a couple of others. Our report is essentially a crystal ball, and we're trying to answer a series of questions. First of all, of course, looking at what the impact of COVID-19 has been on the travel and tourism industry, particularly in regards to consumer values and attitudes, specifically in the APAC region, and looking at how is demand being shaped, particularly in the tourism industry. What are businesses doing to react and prepare, and what sort of official assistance do businesses need? What has been provided so far by governments? And then really taking out the crystal ball and looking at the medium-term, long-term consequences of COVID-19 for the tourism sector in APAC. Everything that we've been hearing from a variety of sources, and there's so many reports that have been coming out, we're trying to aggregate and analyze a lot of these reports from virtually every organization, tourism organization, at a national and international level. Try to determine what's the industry going to look like in 3 or 4 years. How is traveler behavior going to be different? How is that going to impact product offers? And how is it going to impact destinations? And one of the common themes that continually comes out is increased interest in sustainability. Before COVID, over-tourism was a very common term. We haven't heard that this past year for obvious reasons, but how will tourism be different moving forward? That's one of the key questions we're going to try to answer. And we're going to look at this in terms overall at a general level, consumer behavior and motivations, but also in terms of traveler segment profiles. The senior segment, families, youth in particular. Travel technology is figuring into this picture very importantly, and it's one of the reasons we wanted to be a part of this forum. Digitalization has rapidly increased over the past year, and that has in turn has influenced certain products. And for particularly millennials, Gen Z, we're looking at how those groups particularly have been affected and how will they shape the tourism sector going forward. And this is our pitch. Please complete our survey. Please reach out to us. Let us know what's on your mind about the future of tourism. We really encourage you to complete our survey through public sector, private sector. This session has emphasized the importance of data. Well, this is one of our efforts to obtain data as directly as possible. We are, of course, looking at all of the many surveys that already exist. We'll be pulling from those and many of the reports from PATA, UNWTO, WTTC, McKinsey, OECD, on and on. The list is long, and there are some common themes that we see in these reports, but we're really going to try to.
Oh. Hi, Scott. I think you ran out of time here, so I think you can put him back on speaker. Scott?
Yeah, I was just on the last slide.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think you ran just to the 5 minutes mark, so we have to then.
Okay.
Apologies, but we do have 3 minutes for questions.
Right.
So, just quick questions on my end. I don't think we have any questions yet, but anybody who's watching, please do send us your questions. Remember, send it to us, and we'll have 3 minutes after each pitch to ask each question. Scott, the report though, when is sort of estimated to release that? Is it first quarter, second quarter?
We're aiming for July, August to have a finalized report. The research phase will last until about May.
And then that will be available on the ADB site, or is that on different sites, or?
Yeah, ADB will distribute it, and it's our report combined with the other reports. It's a full set looking at a full gamut of issues related to COVID impacts on travel and tourism. Our report in particular is especially focused on COVID impacts and COVID recovery solutions.
And we did have a question here. This is from Mario. What's the audience for the report? Is there a specific audience, or is it for the entire industry, or is it specific sectors? And what impact are you expecting from the report?
So the main audience is policymakers, the members of ADB member states. However, we are emphasizing outreach interviews with as much of the private sector in the various segments that I listed in the presentation to try to get an overall industry perspective, as well as specific segments such as adventure travel, the wellness segment, the cruise segment, to try to take the temperature in each of these and see what leaders in each of these segments see is coming. We hope that this also provides guidance to operators, to destinations in their marketing and planning, and also, of course, for investment.
The audience, like I said, the primary audience was member states.
Policymakers.
For them to then have to sort of plan their strategies and policies moving forward after post COVID. Is that correct?
Yeah, the idea is to guide recovery solutions, and yeah, we will be getting feedback directly from governments, but as I said, the feedback from the private sector is extremely important to inform what those policies should be. What are the most effective policies for recovery? This can't be done. It has to be a public-private partnership in finding the solutions, and that's what will be reflected in the report.
Well, thank you very much. Well, that's why I guess it's really important for everybody to help you guys out, to reach out to you, to help interview and answer surveys to help policymakers. So thank you very much, Scott. Guys, everyone, if you're watching, even exhibitors, please do reach out to Scott or Peter. We worked with Peter before. We did have do we have a question here? Maybe not.
Okay. Somebody's asking. Jameson's asking, where can we find the link to the surveys? They were on the last slide of the presentation, but I'll post them again in the chat window.
But I believe it's also on your exhibitor profile, right? So if you go to the exhibitor profile, just go there. You can click on the link. If Scott or Peter are there, you guys can talk to them. They do want to do an interview. I said, please do help them out. This will help sort of guide policymakers moving forward. And thank you so much, Scott. I believe we'll hear from Peter later this week or at another session. So thank you very much, Scott.
Yeah, possibly. the time zone differences are a little difficult, but.
Okay. All right. Take care, Scott.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Paul. Take care. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks. Okay, so we've heard from Asian Development Bank. We're going to change the order here. Next up from Cerium, we have the Regional Sales Manager, Shane Chen. Scott, you can turn your camera off, and Shane, you can come on.
Thank you, Paul. Can everyone hear me?
I can hear you. You want to turn your camera on or no?
I've just turned my camera on.
Okay.
Can you see me?
Nope. I saw you a second ago.
Let's try this again.
Okay, I can see you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Paul. My name is Cheyenne, and I look after Cerium's business for Southeast Asia and South Asia. At Serum, we started from the idea that the aviation and travel industry will become stronger with efficient sharing of knowledge and information. It is our focus to equip leaders in the industry with data and analytics solutions so that they can make data-driven decisions, which is especially important in this post-COVID environment. On any given day, Serum manages over 300 terabytes of data, ranging from airline schedules and routes, aircraft configurations, and passenger record numbers. The impact of COVID-19 will mean that a different travel landscape is likely to emerge, and it's even more important for us to stay relevant and adapt to changing times. It has been proven that companies that have leveraged on data have benefited in supporting their workflow. At Serum, we are committed to supporting the industry through these challenging times. We work with every stakeholder in the industry, including airlines, airports, tourism bodies, online travel agencies, travel management companies, car rental companies, hotels, travel technology firms, and even startups looking to enter into the travel space. Most recently, we work with one of Indonesia's largest online travel agency, Ticket.com, on their journey to improving operational efficiency and enhancing customer experience. Ticket.com was looking to access flight schedule data from a single credible source as they were spending too much time, money, and efforts in extracting schedules from the GDS. Airlines file schedules with Serum, and we have 11 months of forward-looking and 20 years of historical schedule data. By using schedules from Serum, Ticket.com has saved significant costs. At the same time, Ticket.com was facing challenges in providing the right updates to travelers in the event of a flight disruption. There have been cases where passengers were left stranded in the airport as a result of this. Ticket.com is now able to provide the accurate and timely flight notification updates to passengers by using flight status alerts from Serum. Serum curates status data from over 600 sources globally. We process and normalize the data before delivering it to clients via API and other delivery mechanisms. Ticket.com's customer experience has greatly improved as a result of this, which is great for them because they were looking to capture the market share as Indonesia rebounds from COVID. Beyond data and analytics that we provide to our clients, our industry experts also publish regular thought leadership content derived from our data. These content are hosted on the Serum website, and I would strongly encourage you to visit our website to have a look. Please do reach out to us if you have any questions, and we look forward to supporting you and your business as you prepare for the air travel market to recover. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shane. Let me just say this. I completely understand and empathize with you. I've been working from home for the past month, and I have 2 small children, so completely
Sorry, just give me a second. Let me close the door. I apologize for that.
I understand. I get it. I get it.
Hi, Paul. I'm back. Sorry about that.
No, I said I completely understand. So, so in terms of Serum, you guys are more focused on flight data, seat capacity, I guess, frequency of flights, and you work with all stakeholders across the board as well.
That's right.
That's basically what you're focusing on, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you also, so do you have, I said most of our members are SMEs. So I mean, do you have different packages for SMEs as opposed to large corporates and organizations, so you can make fit your sort of your cost for both corporates and SMEs?
Yes, we do have different pricing models. From the SME perspective, we've seen a number of companies from that sector where some of them are travel startups, for instance, where they were looking at acquiring status data when they look at, say, developing an app, for example. So that's where we provide our status data to such companies.
Okay, and this is another question you have here. Does Serum have an online dashboard to to monitor current air travel situation?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
Does Cirium have an online dashboard to monitor the current air travel situation?
Yes, we do have data hosted on Tableau platforms where we can provide visualizations to our clients where we are tracking real-time flight status data. So depending on the client's requests and objectives, we can even tailor some of these dashboards for them.
Oh, so they're very customizable and for your clients.
Actual real-time flight status.
Okay, all right. I don't think we have any other questions here. Well, thank you very much, Cheyenne. If you guys have any more questions or any more information you want about Cirium, they do have a booth, so please do reach out to Cheyenne and her team at her exhibitor booth on the platform. If they're there, you can reach out and give them a call, or you can schedule a call with them. I believe they should have a link there. Thank you very much, Cheyenne.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so now we'll move on to our next company, and we have VPON Big Data Group in Chinese Taipei. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Senior Sales Manager for APAC New Business Development, Miss Alice Ng. Alice?
Hi, Peter. Hi, everyone. Well, it's coming to the midweek, and yes, rightfully Jeffrey should be around to present, but he isn't free for today, so I'll take over for now. So since I'm left with 5 minutes, so I'm going to be real quick about this. So hang on, I will get the slide ready. Yep. So just a quick introduction about VPON. So we have been in the market for 12 years, 13 years this year. And we are an ed tech company that we work with we have got products in terms of both data and ads programmatic stuff as well. So today, the product that I will be working on is, or talking about, will be on VPON DMP solution. So every one of us has been talking about COVID-19 pandemic outbreak, and everyone is going online, hoping to reach out to the correct audiences, hoping that all campaigns are effective, and everyone will be able to get the correct data that they want. So how is it that VPON can help clients do that? Moving on to the next slide. We have got, so how does DMP actually work out for clients, right? Is that we are all able to do a campaign overview, to analyze traffic and to do traffic profiling. And this is mainly going to be like a dashboard kind of style, working on all campaigns that has been going on and in the past as well. So we actually help clients to summarize in terms of like names, KPI, media channels, as well as recording its performance in terms of duration, UU, page view, and conversions, which is our main priority. And we actually structure and categorize insights by campaigns and media sources according to your needs. And as well as laying out user profile in demographic, behavior, and interest, which is the three main most important things that all tourism industry players would like to find out more about. So today, right, since we are talking about analyzing past campaigns or current campaigns, I will want to talk about the most common thing that has been overlooked, which is usually our website performance and behavioral data for our future action plans. Many people has been, or many marketeers in the industry has always been talking about going into digital marketing, how important digital marketing is, but no one actually exactly know how to analyze data that has been there. And it's important for us, VPON, to step in and help out for better analysis. So basically, we allow, VPON, the reason why VPON has developed DMP Lite, right? It's for better observations and analysis, which of course includes travel spot analysis, demographics, comparisons by country, as well as visualizing the pattern overseas travelers, Japan. Why Japan was because this is basically a case study, a successful case study of the partnership between VPON and JNTO. We have actually worked with them for years on helping them to analyze and reach out to their target audience, which is based in-market Japan, as well as the Greater China. So we actually, okay, so JNTO themselves has actually multiple campaigns running through collecting data, trying to get to their target audience, right? So, but at the same point of time, it's very tedious for their marketeer to actually evaluate and analyze everything from all campaigns. So we actually work out a dashboard for them. So it's easier for them, and we will help them to pluck out the necessary data that they are looking forward to have. And that actually allows them to collect new data, new raw data into their DMP system, which thereafter they will push ads to this group of audiences that we have evaluate for them. Yeah, so that's the quick run through of DMP Lite. And these are the clients that we have been working with in terms of advertising and data portion as well. So I'm done over my side. I hope I did it within 5 minutes. I couldn't hear you.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, 5 minutes. So congratulations on a very quick one. I just want a quick question here. Being based in Chinese Taipei, do you guys have access to, I guess, Chinese data? I mean, in terms of like do you have easier access to getting the Chinese data, which always seems to be one big question from a lot of people, like how do we get that data out of China?
We actually, okay, so we are talking about Greater China, right? So Greater China actually involves Hong Kong, Taiwan, China, right? So we focus a lot more on Hong Kong and Taiwan. In terms of China, yes, we can do that as well, but there has been a lot of limitations. So it's really case by case basis that we can work it out on. So we used to have a pitch with one of our luxury client, beauty client. They were trying to understand the consumer behavior of in-market China. So we were able to get it done for them, like with our partners, such as like Union Pay, right? So yeah, that's how we can work it out. I mean, it's a combination of data between the bank themselves together with VPON's first party data, and that combines how we filter the correct audiences.
Okay, so you work with I guess a lot of partners and various data sets to sort of build that analysis. Is that correct then?
Yes, we do. So it's a combination of like first, second, and third party data that we have. Yeah, so many people actually ask like, what kind of first party data are you referring to? How do you get first party data, right? So we actually integrate our SDK with various multiple app publishers, especially in Taiwan and Hong Kong. And we have got like really strong relationships with our third party data partners. Yeah, so that's how we actually gather all data and work it out.
We do have a question from one of the audience members here is, how do you analyze the destination visibility? This is from the Sarawak Tourism Board.
I hope it's not Benedict. Okay, so okay, we actually do LBS because when it comes to analysis on like countries, right, it involves a lot of LBS, which as long as, okay, how should I put it? Basically, with SDK integrated, we are able to track, or we know where your target audience is, as long as they are using their mobile.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully that answered Dr. Fency's questions. But if I'm sure you can reach out to Alice. She's on the exhibitor. She can give her a call or schedule a call with her and and maybe try to get more in-depth answers from her?
Correct. Yeah. Because this is quite a short FAQ period of time, so it will just be a very brief reply. But when it comes to more in depth, it will be good if, let's say, we can get connected, and then it will be better and easier for me to explain.
Yes, yeah. I'm sure sometimes these questions need a deeper and longer conversation. So Dr. Fancy, please do reach out to Alice at her exhibitor booth. I think we're out of our 3 minutes. So thank you very much, Alice. And we'll move on to our next organization. And next with us, we have Q Square, based out of Singapore. He is the CEO. Please welcome Nilesh Jadhav. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Nilesh?
Hello, hi. I'm trying to start my video.
Yes, start your video, and you can, once you have your video, you can...
It isn't allowing me yet, but okay, hopefully I can start my video soon. Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Can you see me now?
Yes, perfect.
Hi there.
Okay.
All right, so what I'll do is I'll start sharing my screen and talk you through a short presentation. I'll be happy to answer questions after that. Is that okay?
We'll start about 5 minutes once you have your presentation up.
Perfect. All right. So I believe you can see my presentation now.
Just have it on presenter view. Perfect. You're all set. Okay.
All right. Okay. Thanks, everyone, and good morning. My name is Nilesh Jadhav. I'm the founder and CEO of Q Square Private Limited. We are a spin-off company of a local university in Singapore, and we are focusing on digitizing energy savings through virtual audits. And I'll explain this more what we do. So energy spend is a big spend for most industries. If you look at the hotel industry, there's a lot of spend. This is the statistics from the Energy Star from the US. About more than $2,000 per available room is spent every year on energy. And this is the second largest spend after the manpower. It represents about 6% of all operating costs for hotels. And through very simple ways to save 10% energy, you could actually improve your average daily room rates by 62 cents in a limited service hotel, and even up to 1.35 cents in a full service hotel, just by a 10% savings in energy. So what we do is, our mission is to simplify the decision making for saving energy. In the slide, I've represented the different stakeholders that typically get involved in energy saving projects, like a building owner or a manager who wants to save energy, a consultant who provide the advice, the tech provider who has the right solutions, like sensors or efficient equipment, and the financiers typically who want to potentially finance the project. So all of this is good. Essentially, we help all these stakeholders with access to data and technology know-how, so they can speed up their work. Oftentimes, the industry is also quite conservative in terms of assessing and finding out the best opportunities quickly. So we have come up with some of our apps, such as Virtual Audits Live, and the Better Life platform that I'll talk very briefly about today, and you're free to join our booth and explore more about it. So just to give an example of how energy audits are done today, essentially they're quite manual. They're not easily accessible to people, especially the client. They're expensive because you involve a lot of high cost manpower, and they tend to be quite limited to certain sections and doesn't give a full overview. And also typically they would cost you, in Singapore at least, it costs anywhere between $30,000 to $100,000. So it's a good starting point, but quite expensive. And it takes typically a few weeks to do that. So it's also time consuming. What we have done is to basically use the power of data and building physics to be able to come up with a tool that can virtually model and assess energy in any particular site. We could be presenting energy analysis, operation analysis, technology fit analysis to see which technology fits which building, how could it improve, and to give an ROI analysis as well to predict how much savings can be got at what cost. And we typically do this at a very low cost, a few tens of dollars every month. And some of our products can be done instantly. So we have created a platform, what we call a Better Life Energy Assessment and Insights platform on the cloud, where anybody can log in, look at their buildings, just like a Google map. You can select a building on the map, look at your energy saving potential that we pre-calculate at the back, and then we would be able to get all the insights to the relevant parties which are involved. So we have launched this platform for Singapore in September 2020, and we're rolling out to other cities, but we're still able to do work if you are outside Singapore. These are some of our clients who have been able to use our services of virtual audits and able to get 20 to 50% energy savings to really improve their ADR, for example, quite significantly using the energy costs that are hidden, sometimes not able to predict so well. So we have really stopped here, and I welcome you to visit our booth and see a potential how you could even digitize your entire building portfolio, at the same time create a sustainable future through energy savings, starting at just $10 per month. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nilesh. Very interesting, very interesting. So, I mean, quick question from my end here. I mean, if anybody has any questions, feel free to send in. So you guys do the audit for the hotel property, right? Then do you advise to them like, okay, you're doing, you're spending X amount on lighting or something else, and then you advise them how to reduce those costs?
Exactly. So we come up with an initial analysis to say, this is where you're consuming energy, this is where you're potentially even wasting energy. And then what we do is to come up with, let's say, 10, 20, even up to 50 energy saving measures. And you might have heard about them in the market, like LED lightings or let's say better efficient air conditioning. The question is, how do they fit to your particular property? And what is the ROI that you could get if you install them? So that's precisely the analysis that we do.
And then, I mean, you said you saved between 20 to 50% energy savings. What does that calculate to cost? Like, what's like the range of like the cost of savings for these properties?
Oh, so typically you would get for hotels. I've done a study that you will get about 3 to 5 years of payback period for energy saving opportunities. But a lot of time and money is also spent on just getting there. What I mean by just getting there is to do that initial assessment. So people would spend easily between, let's say, $30,000 to $100,000 in Singapore just to be able to know what to do. And we are taking that layer out. We're saying you could focus on your payback with the right solutions, and we can give you several options, anywhere between 1 year to 5 years payback. But we will reduce the cost of assessment drastically for you. That means we can start even at $10 per month.
So on the audit aspect, right? So if I'm a property, I go in, I put my, I guess, information into the software, right? And then you guys analyze that data and then come back then with the recommendations.
That's right. On the offline mode, we do that. On the online platform mode, that is done instantly. So right now we have 10,000 buildings in Singapore where you can just key in the data, click a button, and you get the analysis done.
Okay. There's a question here. We have, what's the average energy cost reduction you've been able to achieve?
Oh, so we've been able to achieve around 30% as a sweet spot of average energy cost reduction. So we typically come up with a full suite of energy saving measures and their payback period, tabulated in a table. Saying if you want to get 10%, you have to have a 1 year payback, 50% maybe a 5 years payback, and sweet spot somewhere in between. So we found that 30% is something that we were able to comfortably, suggest to clients, and they will be able to achieve in the next 1 or 2 years.
And then when you do the audit and provide recommendations, I guess you provide short-term, medium-term, and long-term recommendations as well. So like, oh, if you change these light bulbs to LED, but if you move to solar, you can then have this much in savings. Is that correct?
Absolutely. So anything to do with the energy savings, we will be able to assess from the solar potential down to way to simply increasing your temperature in lobbies. So as simple as that. And the good thing is we also do a combination of measures. So for example, if you change your lighting and you have a better efficient air conditioning, you can imagine the multiplication factor, right, for your energy savings. So we could be able to analyze that essentially, the multiplication effect or the combined effect of energy savings as well.
Okay, well, perfect. I think we ran out of time for the Q&A. Thank you so much. Very interesting product to know about energy savings. I think it's important, especially with what's going on in the world. Reducing our energy consumption is going to be a problem. So much from you. Anybody have any questions? To visit their booth, you can contact Nilesh or his team directly, and I'm sure he'll be able to answer any of your questions further. Thank you so much, Nilesh.
See you then.
Thank you. Take care. Thank you. Okay, so we've come now back to Soldier. So let's welcome back Katie. Again, she's the commercial director for APAC at Soldier. And Katie, welcome back. The stage is all yours.
Thank you very much. I am going to share my screen. Let me know if you can see it okay, and I will put it in presenter mode. Does it look good?
Yes, looks.
Got it. Okay. So thank you again for having me. I'm going to keep note of my time so I don't run over. So I'm going to take you through who is Sojourn and what do we do. So at Sojourn, we are the leading digital marketing platform for travel marketers. Essentially, what we're doing is collecting, I'm breaking it down now, we are collecting first-party travel intent signals directly from travel websites so that we can help enhance advertising campaigns and share insights with you before and after your campaign. If you were on for the panel session, I want to highlight that you should be getting a value from the data that you're getting from your partners. So whether the cost comes in purchasing the data and analyzing it, or from a media perspective, you should be getting something trackable out of that data. And I'm going to move on to how are we getting our data and what are we doing with it. So at Sojourn, we have millions of intent signals, but I just want to go one step further and explain how does this come to us and what do we do with it. So let's say I went to an airline site and I, in a dream world, could leave Singapore, and I typed in from Singapore to Sydney, leave on, March 1st, come back the 5th. All of this filter data is what we call deterministic data. This is the data that travelers are putting into booking widgets. So we collect that. And then our engineering team goes one step further to say, okay, this traveler was looking for a flight in business class. They might be, a luxury traveler, or this traveler had 4 people in their itinerary and they were going to stay 6 nights, including a weekend. That could be family travelers. So I'll get more into our audience segments, but that would be what we call probabilistic data. So we're taking both that factual information and then building out behavioral profiles to help deliver strong campaign results. And as Paul mentioned, a large attendance today on this webinar is SMEs. So I tend to work more on the corporate side of the business, but we have a huge SME product whereby everything I've just gone through is available for individual hotels and properties, attractions and services, F&B, and tour operators. So please do feel free to get in touch if you want to get more information about how to get access to this data and how it can drive conversions for your destination. And how Sojourn runs our campaigns is either in the social space or programmatically. And we do this because we know travelers are not loyal and channels are not equal. And because we know channels are not equal, that's why Sojourn runs programmatic advertising campaigns where your ad could show across the internet. But we know that with our data layered on top, that was a traveler that just did a search or just did a booking and fits the profile of your media campaign. What are some popular audience segments that we use at Sojourn that our advertisers are consistently coming back and saying, we want to use this audience. This was really successful and it drove a lot of business for us. I'm not going to go through all of them in the interest of time, but you can see them here: luxury, business, family, loyalty program members. Knowing that people are part of a loyalty program, they tend to engage with brands, more frequently. And then where does your ad show up? What does it look like? So I mentioned in programmatic, it could be across the web in a variety of different ad sizes. On Facebook, again, across desktop, mobile, or tablet. Connected TV is another product Sojourn offers, which is quite popular now that so many people are cutting the cord. And video, whether it be on YouTube or across the web. So what's Sojourn's formula for success? We take all of this data and we share it with our partners to build strategic campaigns. We then use the data on the actual campaign once it's running to make sure we're in front of that target audience. And then after the campaign, we're looking at how can we provide reporting to help you understand what did you get. I know I'm coming very close on time. So one thing that I want to highlight is even if you don't have a booking engine, ask your partners, how could I get access to knowing what is this media going to drive for me? At Sojourn, we work with tourism boards, and what we do is we place something called a pixel on their site. And by doing that, if we're running the advertising campaign, we know if someone clicked or viewed on that ad and then went and searched a variety of websites within our ecosystem, we can go back to them and say, hey, this is how many searches and bookings you drove into your destination from that advertising campaign. And again, this works at the property level and the corporate level. Of course, the scale of the budget will be much different. I see Paul's popped up, which is good timing. I've just finished.
Okay, perfect. As you wait for some questions to come in, I'm going to come back to this idea of co-op marketing. I always find it really interesting. Does Sojourn help sort of facilitate that? I mean, if let's say I'm an SME, say, hey, I would like to, could you help facilitate a co-op marketing program and assist us with that? Because I have no idea what I'm doing. Does Sojourn have that capability of help?
Yeah, we sure do. So we're headquartered at our APAC headquarters in Singapore. So the majority of our team is here, but we have a local seller in Sydney and in Bali. So what we can do is help put these campaigns together, whether it's individual properties that want to come together to maximize their budgets, or again, properties and attractions and services. But yeah, we would help build that campaign, help construct the strategy, make sure that we understand what's the goal of the campaign, and then it would all run through our portal so that each partner who's has some skin in the game, has budget in the campaign, can go through and see how the campaign's performing, how many people are engaging on their ad, and what is the ROI, or how are they trending towards the goal that they had set out before the campaign launched. So we can certainly facilitate and run that.
Well, and then if you had several people in this co-op, right, but one had a bit more skin in the game than the other one, would they have different access, higher level access, as opposed to a smaller partner? Would that be customizable?
Yeah, it's a good question. So they would we tend to work on a tiered level in terms of budget. So they may have a different report or different level of account manager service. They may be able to change out their creative more frequently than another partner who might not have so much. So it will all, that will depend on if there is a large difference in one partner's budget from another. And we do typically see that the tourism board might have the highest budget, and then the individual hotels will come in at a different pricing level.
No, I mean, yeah, because I think I mentioned before, I think it's, as we work towards rebuilding, it looks like everyone working together. So I think that's a perfect model, right? If you have the tourism boards working with the SMEs and saying, look, everyone puts a little bit of skin in the game. It may not be equal, but you will have some sort of access to this. Then it allows everyone actually to be able to have a bit of an advantage going into the restarting of travel.
Yeah, and something that we think is important too is that people want to have these sustainable and responsible experiences. So when you go to a destination, you want to make sure that you're booking that local tour, you're booking that local restaurant, and that you're supporting the economies that have been hit so hard over the last year and a half and until things bounce back. So we think that co-op will really help educate people into how can they book those local experiences to make sure that they're supporting everybody and getting the best experience possible.
Well, I think we're about out of time here. So if you have any other questions for Sojourn or Katie, feel free to reach out to her at her exhibitor booth. You can either schedule some time with her, or if she's there, you can give her a call. Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, take care. Okay, we're coming down to our final two companies. Next up is OAG. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the regional sales manager at OAG Aviation Worldwide, Ferry Tang.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, I'll be sharing my screen.
Okay.
Okay, so today we are in this Pata Beyond Travel Recovery Solutions, and I'd like to explain a little bit more about what OAG does. So let's start with 2020 year in review. Cathay Pacific, the airline, as the seriousness of the COVID-19 became clear, they had thousands of aircraft all over the world that's being grounded, and not including Cathay Pacific themselves. Singapore Airlines, we had 17 planes that were parked at a facility in Alice Springs. Quite a lot of airlines had converted their cargo space, their cabin space into cargo in order to fit in more cargo during this pandemic period where there are not many passengers, but a lot of cargoes are moving around the world. And Nook Scoot was among one of the airlines that has filled during this period. We may see a lot more because right now a lot of airlines are getting aids from the government, but that may stop after this season. So recently, we have received news that the China domestic capacity had collapsed with a record reduction. And in just 1 week, the domestic capacity in China saw a reduction of 27% or 3.2 million seats from the previous week. We are seeing a regular capacity reduction as a pattern in the past few weeks, probably owing to the reoccurring COVID cases in China. Global capacity has shrunk to 48.1 million, which is similar to the capacity of what was in June 2020. And the global capacity in February 2021 is 48% of that of the same period last year. So far, the only markets to have maintained at least 60% of the capacity would be South Asia and Central America. How do we know all this? OAG is known as the world-leading intelligence provider to the air travel ecosystem. We have the world's largest network of schedules and status data to help you with your decision support platform, and also analytical tools that help with your analysis. Our data set mainly schedules and flight status information. So where do we get our schedules from? It typically comes directly from the airlines, because the airlines does see a reason to provide this information to us as we push this out for them to many, many different channels. So some of our data solutions would include like push notification, historical information, API query, etc. So we can have it in different formats depending on how the customers want this information to be fed. And then the people who uses OAG data would be the world leading internet search engine. And then we have meta searches, leading OTAs, government agencies, etc. And the differentiator is that we validate, synchronize, enhance, and customize before we deliver this data out to our customers. And our differentiator is that we want to support our customers' journey. We hope to grow your business, to help streamline your operations, and end of the day, to help you delight your customers. So our solutions will include schedules data, flight status data, and analyzer suite. We also have a team of consultants behind us that helps to work out on any kind of project which customers may require. Thank you very much. That is the end of my presentation.
Well, thank you very much. With time to spare, so I guess I'll ask you some kind of the questions as we asked him. Do you guys have a dashboard, I guess, for your clients, or is that how?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And it's customizable depending on what their needs are.
That is right, but that depends on what kind of dashboard that the customers want. Would it be a status or schedules one? So we can have it done up in different types. Or we have also like something which is not really a dashboard, but then like an analytical presentation kind of web form for customers as well.
So it's like a report like a weekly report or something that if like, I guess that's how we worked it out, like, a weekly report sent to your clients?
Yes, that is right.
Okay. And then your solutions, I guess you have, your solutions, is it also, do you have solutions for SMEs, small business as well, as opposed to corporates, or is it mainly focused on corporate?
We actually do have different types of solutions to match different requirements, and depending on what the customers require, we have, of course, like custom-made solutions as well as standard ones, which may meet all the different requirements of the customers.
Okay. I don't think we have any questions here from the audience, but if you would like to know more about OAG, feel free to reach out to Fairy Tang at her exhibitor booth. If she's there, you can give her a call. If not, you can always schedule a call or send her an email. So thank you very much,
Thank you very much, Paul. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I think we've come down to our final company. So please welcome back the APAC director at Forward Keys, Jameson.
Thanks, Paul.
You get to close out.
Yes. Am I the last one before lunch? I think so.
Yes, yes. So you're the last one holding us back before lunch. So
Yeah, well aware of that. So just to make sure that everyone's looking at my presentation correctly, predicting
yes,
travelers'
that's good.
impact.
All good.
Okay, so yeah, so that's us. For Keys, we are a travel analytics company that serves to understand as much of a traveler as we can as an individual, because we strongly believe that this individual is an economic agent that presents different values to different types of businesses along his or her journey. Yeah. And I think we can all agree that with the current pandemic, it has changed the playing field. And more importantly, it has changed the strategic objectives for all companies that I know of that are still standing, right? Hence, there is now an increased need to understand as much of the new traveler or potentially or new travelers, sorry, as much as possible. Now, at Forward Keys, we analyze multiple data sets across the traveler's journey to be able to inform your business on what these travelers do or will do and the impact that it will have on your business. Now, just to quickly run through a couple of the different data sets that I've earlier mentioned. So first of all, we aim to inform your destinations or your business accessibility to the travelers by analyzing seat capacity that is actually provided for in partnership by OAG. So that's the first one. We need to understand, well, first of all, if there are flights scheduled into your country, especially in a country like Singapore or Maldives. If there are no flights, obviously there will not be any travelers coming in. Secondly, we then look to inform on the traveler's intention to travel by understanding flight searches. So this is kind of where we look at what are different people all around the world searching for in terms of travel. Are they hitting in like, Singapore to Spain? What dates are they looking to travel? And where are they physically located? Thirdly, we have the ability to understand the consumer's decision to travel. And this is quite an important one. So we have the best data set, obviously that's biased, called actual air tickets that informs on the traveler's decision to travel, not only through retrospective materialized travel, but very, very crucially in today's environment, we have the ability to look at factual forward-looking travel demand in near real time. So this is very unique and advantageous as it creates a solid foundation that then helps us to build accurate and reliable forecasts. Okay, and finally, whilst in destination, we seek to understand the economic impact that the travelers have by tracking their expenditure. Now, since I understand that most of the members of the audience are from the NTOs as well as the DMOs, I wanted to take some time to explain some of the typical use cases, right? So first of all, when we work with DMOs and NTOs globally, we essentially look at performance by tracking their performance of the different segments of travelers to their destination. We also then have the ability to do a deep dive into historical performance, understanding not only travel characteristics, but also importantly, booking characteristics. So that's the first major use case. The second major use case would then be connectivity. And this is something that has been increasingly common, where there is now a mandate for the NTOs and the DMOs to understand how well each destination is connected to the different source markets, and then consequently drive conversations to establish new routes to connect to new markets strategically. Thirdly, basically the marketing concept. So we not only have the ability to look at travel that has materialized, what are the different travel characteristics of the different source markets, but more importantly, especially what's happening right now, we have the ability to look at booking characteristics as they shape up. Now, this has been very, very hot request in the past year because obviously, businesses can no longer rely on their knowledge of what has happened in the past. So right now we are able to look at fresh, updated booking characteristics, such as being able to reflect on, the significantly shorter booking lead time or a drastically different way of purchasing flight tickets, for example. So by understanding booking characteristics, as it happens today, we are able to help our clients better shape their marketing campaigns. Now, lastly, just to kind of talk a little bit about how we work with all of our different types of clients and partners. And this has been mentioned earlier in the panel with Paul. We have a wide range of products and services that caters to different levels of sophistication. We are able to work with highly advanced clients who require a data lake, an API feed, or a Nexus platform that allows them the ability to slice and dice. Or we also have, on the other hand, Destination Gateway, which is a new dashboard that provides top-level executive summary, easy to understand nuggets of information to our destination clients.
Jameson, your time is up, Jameson.
Yep, I'm done.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I guess you're saying you have a dashboard, but then you also provide weekly for your clients if they requested like weekly reports?
Yeah, I mean, it's a broad spectrum, right? So we have a dashboard. We have weekly, monthly reports, and frankly, if a client wants and pays for, we can have an analyst call this guy or girl up, for half an hour every month just to whisper, positive variations. Yeah, so it's a wide spectrum.
And then, you showed you had expenditure data. Where are you getting the expenditure data from, or did I miss that?
Yeah, so we've started off by working with China's largest credit card network provider. So we basically get factual credit card spend for the Chinese travelers. We are starting off with the Chinese travelers first because obviously they play a very important and they spend the most money when it comes to travelers globally. And that has been one of the most commonly requested insight needed by our clients. So we started working with a Chinese credit card company to get their data to inform us on Chinese expenditure worldwide.
Okay. And this is another question about your data. So this is from Cerium, actually. What is Forward Key's source of search data and actual booking data?
So with search data, we actually work with a meta search technology provider that provides the underlying tech for, meta searches globally. So, we would have access to, for example, Kayak's search data, Skyscanner search data, Kiwi's search data, so on and so forth. So that's where we get our search data from. Where we get our actual air tickets data from, we actually get it from the world's largest air transport association. Yeah, that's where we get it from. So yeah.
So it's a very robust bunch of data sets you have there.
Indeed.
Oh, and then are you guys always looking for more partners? I mean, is there a limit to say there's too much data?
I think there can never be enough data. We just need to make sure that whatever data sources that we get, that we work with, and whatever data that we get is relevant for the mission at hand, which is to say we want to understand as much of the traveler as an individual as much as we can. So that is why you don't see us, for example, collecting hotel occupancy data, because we view that as a consequent, as a subset of one travel activity. We always want to fall back on monitoring and understanding as much of the individual as much as we can. So one of the things that we are looking at right now and into the future is to say, we know what the travelers are searching for. We know what they're booking. We know where they're going to. We know how long they're spending in destination. And right now we know how much are they spending in destination. But the other thing that we want to understand right now is the social impact, right? So not just the economic, but the socio-economic impact that a traveler has on destination, on economy, on the local population.
Well, thank you very much, Jameson. We'll end it there. I think there's been a lot of talk about actually, I guess that actually backs back to what Scott was talking about in terms of data and how it impacts more than just, you know, the sustainability aspect of data and how those measurements, even at POTA, we're looking at how that can, you know, be factored into our RVA reports and forecast reports going forward. So thank you so much, Jameson. And that wraps up our roundtable. You can stop sharing your screen and turn off the camera.
Yep. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you, Jameson. So if you have more questions for Jameson or want to know more about his business, please do contact him at his exhibitor booth. Jameson, can you stop sharing, or can we stop sharing Jameson's screen here? Okay. So if you have any more questions about any of our exhibitors, please feel free to contact them. I'll just put their pictures up again. You can contact Scott, Jameson, Shane, Alice, Nilesh, Katie, or Ferre at their exhibit booths. Either drop them a message. They might have their contact information there. You can send them an email and sort of ask them more questions about their product, or schedule a call to talk about them more. You know, one of the good things about this this event is that, you know, this happens for us too at POTA. When we were looking for an event platform, we would have to actually go out there and search, you know, various websites and various companies. You know, it's an opportunity for you to find pretty much a couple of, you know, sort of like data insights analytics companies all in one place, so you don't have to go do that search yourself. So do take advantage of this time and go visit the different exhibitors there. Thank you very much again to all of our companies that presented this afternoon. Thank you to Jameson and Katie for joining me on that brief but informative panel discussion. And thank you all of you for joining us this afternoon. Again, my name is Paul Prinkar. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. And again, thank you to all of our sponsors, ADP Ventures, TCEP, and Simplifying. And up next this afternoon, we have our next Discover Beyond session. This is Discover Beyond Health and Hygiene and Sustainability, Balancing People, Planet, and Profit in a Post-COVID-19 World. We have Eller, from the co-founder of both of us, as the moderator for that panel discussion, and she'll be joined by some of our exhibitors, and then we'll have the roundtable again. So with that, that is the end. Tomorrow we have our Discover Beyond Technology, Discover Beyond Mice, and then on Thursday is Marketing and Discover Beyond 2021. So please do bookmark that in the event app or on the desktop, or put it in your calendar, and hopefully we'll see you there. Thank you very much for joining us, and I will see you this afternoon.